Go your own way, stones and shadows by. Willows whisper of darkness deep and wide. In the forest there is no place to hide. Strange bells, tonight I fear that I will not survive the dying of the light.
Hi, everybody. This is Sir Robert, and we are doing the Starfall Collective again. This is The Dying of the Light, Season 3. We're back with Episode 2 here. Let's do quick introductions, and then we'll jump right into the story where we left off. I know that Matt also has a couple of questions following up from last time, so we'll take care of those first. To start with, I am Sir Robert, and I am a full-time DM. You won't be able to tell by the quality, but I'll get there. Also, you can check stuff at thefarce.net. It is currently the most lugubrious blank site on the net. Matt, why don't you go next?
My video on Twitch seems to be really far behind yours, but hopefully the audio is not. And so what I'm going to say is that my name is Matthew Talamini. I am a writer and web developer based in Providence, Rhode Island. You can find my stuff at MatthewTalamini.com. That's Matthew, TALAMINI.com. Over to the next person.
Josh?
Which is me, and I am also a software developer, but I'm based much farther down I-95 in Augusta, Georgia. And you can find my stuff all over the internet using the search key JSUICH. That'll find me on Facebook and Instagram and Reddit. And if you check out the Starfall Collective subreddit, we can talk about the Starfall Collective stuff.
Over to you, Jared.
I'm Jared. I don't really have those things. Dwight, do you?
Tonight, Dwight is being played by a forest.
Okay.
He is probably similarly quiet.
He's as talkative as the trees.
Yeah. He's actually, for those listening, he's got some audio problems personally and technologically, and I'm just kidding about the personally part. And we hopefully are going to be able to resolve those as we go. But if you see it glitching a little bit, that is, like I said, that it's a personal problem. So, what just happened to Matt?
Oh, he disappeared, and he's back.
That was crazy. I liked it.
And I'd like to point out that I said what I thought was an absolute banger of a pun, that Dwight is as silent as a forest and even less likely to bark. I mean, I thought that was something. It was a thing.
That was something.
So
forests have a lot of bark.
That's true.
That's my point.
Okay.
That's my point.
So, let's get into things. I'm going to give a quick summary of the last episode, Matt, and then you can ask your questions, which will make more sense if people remember what we did. Previously, we met Matt's character. His name is Diamondback, named after the snake, as the people of his hamlet were wont to do, his tribe or whatever. He has tattoos of diamonds down his back, surely somehow related to the name. And when last we met, we caught him right as the Iron Bell, a patrol, was just decimating his little town. As far as Matt could tell, they were burning and slaughtering everyone and everything. And Diamondback escaped with his life. There was a tense, nail-biting chase scene down the bayou and through some parts of the jungle where Matt got accosted by a large lizard that was, possibly venomous. He was able to de-escalate and retreat without having to get into combat, which was a successful encounter as far as experience is concerned. And so that's good. He then continued to evade his captors for a while, several hours, and ended up being able to strike off towards a village that he had a vague recollection was, he was hoping was in the direction he was going, northwest at the time. On his way, he was looking for signs of that village, he rolled a natural 20, a brilliant success, and found clear, definitive signs of the place that he was looking for. And so he is currently on his way there. When he was approximately 10 hours away, maybe less than a day's travel, he came upon two pairs of orcs. So 4 orcs that were arguing bitterly over a captive. They were arguing who gets to claim rights to this captured tiefling, this tiefling woman. One of them claimed, we caught her, we get to sell her. She's ours, our prize here. And the other group claimed, no, this is our territory that you caught her in, so she's ours. And as things went along, they got a little bit violent with each other, and two of the orcs slew the other two. That tiefling, Diamondback found out, is named Sleen and is played by Josh. They had to figure out how to evade the remaining two orcs, one of whom threw a spear straight at Diamondback, impaling him through the shoulder and nailing him to a tree. Diamondback was near death. Thankfully, because the tiefling is a
Competent woman.
a what now?
Competent woman.
Yes,
Strong.
because the tiefling is a vamp, a femme fatale. The orc slavers knew that they'd get a really good price for her. So they did not want to damage that. They didn't want to scar her or cut off an arm or anything like that, as they would have with, for example, Diamondback, who they pierced without concern. Instead, they tried to capture Sleen with ropes. She was able to evade, thankfully. She had some very good fire magic at her disposal, having captured her component pouch. And then they, as Diamondback was unconscious, Sleen was able to finish off the last two orcs, and we end the scene with them, Sleen reviving Diamondback, and Diamondback limping back to the clearing where they've now slaughtered the orcs. The orcs' limbs and blood, ground into the dust. And Diamondback's in bad shape, and they are just trying to think about the booty they have found. What lies in the camp? Matt, you wanted to ask a couple questions.
Yes. We do seem to be having some audio issues you may want to look into. I don't know what we could even possibly do about that. But my first question is, do I get XP?
You do. Both of you do.
I can has XPs?
That's right. We did not actually cover that last time. We were a little over time, so we just stopped right at the end of battle. But we'll pick up right there. Matt, you soloed a lizard and a large lizard and a giant frog, and also participated in killing the 4 orcs. Or evading, or doing whatever. So your total there was 300 experience.
I got 300 experience.
You got 300 experience.
I think that means I get to level up.
Cool. I believe you. I just went by the list of experience per character, per thing you fought. So level up next time or whatever. You could probably do it now if you wanted, I guess, while I'm talking to Josh.
How much does Sleen get?
Sleen gets 200 experience. Matt got an extra 100. That was from the frog and the lizard. But y'all split the experience for the orcs.
Understood.
Looks like I've got the other two characters in here. Hopefully our audio will come in and everything will go smoothly. Okay, so let's pick up from there. If you remember last time, they had a little wooden lockbox. The orcs did. You remember that? Can you all hear me?
Sure.
Yes,
Okay.
I do.
Great. And you got out of that lockbox 12 copper, which you guys would know is 10 to 12 is depending on the corruption of the patrol that you're interacting with, is the typical amount to redeem a slave. If they've got a slave and you're just like, I want that particular one, it's my brother, or whatever. They'll usually redeem it for about 12-ish. Also, you would also know that when they come, when the tribute patrols come to your towns, they buy magical artifacts that you found, and that's also roughly the cost of how much they pay for an uncommon artifact. So it's a fair bit of gold, or a fair bit of copper. It's not tiny, but it's not huge, but it'll be all right, as Bob Marley said. Sorry, I'm looking for my pencil.
So Robert,
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little bit behind. Can I please level up now? Or actually, can we
It's okay
level
with
up?
me.
Can I level up if I get a long rest here?
Sure, we can do that. Yes, let's do that leveling at a long rest. That's a good idea.
Okay.
And you are welcome to do a long rest, but you can't just have one. You've got to do it.
Survive
in
it.
game. You've got to
Yes.
make the long rest. If I remember correctly, I think I have this right, that it is around 2:00 p.m. right now. You have the orc camp at your disposal. The orcs had a very heavy stone axe that is extremely unwieldy for you guys. You're welcome to, if one of your characters would like it, you're welcome to take it, but it's not especially valuable. It's just a regular axe. That was the one that cut off the other orc's head. There are also several torches. There's about 10 rations, so y'all can each split them or something.
Speaking of rations, did I use up one of my rations when I camped last night?
You tell me. Did you use up one of your rations? If you didn't, you're going to get fatigued.
Yes, I definitely had dinner.
Great. In that case, you should mark that off of your inventory.
I will do that.
Okay. Celine, if I'm not mistaken, you are in prime condition. They didn't hurt you at all.
Correct.
They were trying not to, but they were trying to capture you. Diamondback is in very bad shape.
Extremely bad shape.
And so
Okay.
it's 2:00 p.m. You know that the town that you're going for is 10-ish hours away through the jungle. You're in a clearing with a camp, not a clearing, but like just a little, small opening with where the orcs set up camp, and they secured it as well as is reasonable for a camp with two orcs who weren't worried a whole lot. So I will let you two negotiate what you do next.
So we've got a tent, and we have decapitated the 4 orcs, placed them on pikes at the 4 corners of the clearing, and Celine is taking inventory of the contents of the chest, while Diamondback is taking as much rest as he needs.
Okay.
And I believe that what I had said was, you can have the money, but I want any magic stuff that they had.
And what Celine said was, I'm sure we can find an arrangement that's agreeable. Celine did not make any promises about just wholesale promising away all mineral rights. So
Okay. But yeah, Diamondback is like I got pinned to a tree with a spear with a javelin, and Celine saved my life. So I'm not gonna push too hard about anything in particular. I came up with this plan where we're gonna try and intimidate anybody with severed orc heads decorating our clearing here.
Fresh
And
ones.
once that's fresh severed orc heads, which I feel like should be very intimidating to everybody except for ravens. And hopefully we'll attract some ravens. And hopefully I can kill them for their magical eyes or whatever. And but what I'm hoping to do is I just crawl into this tent and curl up. If they have blankets, I'm gonna build me a little bed and just blanket down and zonk out.
So Celine would like to try to make a medicine check. I think she already made a medicine check to stabilize him and get him to 1 hit point.
Yeah, that's right.
But I don't know if I can help him at all by making a further medical check.
I mean, what you really would do is not a medical check. You would look in your component pouch and see if you have something medical, like healing, cure wounds, or anything like that.
Alas, I have no components that would allow me to magically replace hit points. So I guess at the very least, after the first hour, you're going to get at least 1 die roll plus your con modifier. Yeah. So I guess after an hour, I'll check in on him and see how he's doing.
Yeah, I'll get my short rest after an hour. Will I? Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. You can short rest any hour you want. There's just risk. What I'm going to actually have you do, Josh, is while he's resting in this hour, I'm going to let you pick. There are components in the chest. That's the main prize you're finding. I can tell you what those are now, or we can go through them with Matt there.
Matt will hear, but Celine is the one who's going through them. So in story, mechanically, it would make sense to tell Celine what they are.
Sure.
And then you can give me the opportunity to be a real jerk and lie to him. Yeah,
and you are welcome to, see what there is. You may not know. You probably don't know anything that's on them. It's something that'll have to be discovered. So y'all would have to have some sort of collaboration or negotiation about that. Okay. Let's grab some components. Let me give you. Hold on. I'm all the components. I'm just rolling for. So that's for you to know. That's how that's going to work. That rolled funny. Sorry. Hold on. Let me grab y'all back. There we go. There we go. There are 13 components. If you've got your component pouch pulled up, you could just put them all in your pouch and separate them by a few lines, and then you and Matt can do whatever.
Sure.
Okay. You have a sorry, when I say something like blood, like you have the blood of something, that's normal way that you would have blood is something soaked in the blood. Like you might have a little bit of cattail with the blood on it, right?
Sure.
And it's by the magic of narrative, you know what it is, what kind of blood it is.
Sure.
What just happened?
Dwight's Jitsi connection is completely unusable.
Hug.
So I think he's given up on that.
Okay.
If there's any way we could use some other platform, I know you've got all your streaming stuff configured for Jitsi especially. So
if we want to take a break, I could actually configure really rapidly for another platform. It would just be maybe a little slightly janky for tonight. I don't mind though. If there's another better platform we could use, like Zoom or something.
I think his character's not in right now, so maybe when we go to our halfway through break, we might try some other platform.
That sounds fine. Okay, you've got, what did I say, 13 components. Are you ready to write this down?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I am ready.
Great. You have, let's go with, here we go. 4 of the following. You have 4 leaves of a blackwood fig tree.
Our first plant. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Give me a sec here. That's because I just implemented plants. You have 7, and I'm just going to say it this way, 7 sap. It means 7, units of sap.
Yep.
From a rotten leaf willow.
Okay.
You've got 6 teeth from a red-eyed pig. I will keep my mouth shut and leak as little information as possible because I'm seeing what's on them. But I will tell you that's a good one. You should attune to that. Since I already said it. And then you've got, let's see, also 6 scat, pellets or whatever from the same, red-eyed pig.
Okay.
That gives us... You've got 4 components listed there.
Yep.
You've got 9 more to go.
Okay.
All right. Excuse me. Give me a sec. I'm pulling this up. It's loading. There we go. You've got 5 bark. No, wait. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong sheet. Sorry, one sec. You've got 5 fangs of a white-scaled adder.
Okay.
You've got 2 claws of a green-footed badger. You've got 2 wings of a gray-skinned bat.
What?
And almost there. You've got 7 teeth
Okay.
from frost-eyed jackals.
Okay.
And how many items is that so far? I've got that you have 8, but I think I
1,
missed
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, great. Never mind then. We got 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 5 more to go.
Yep.
All right. You've got 3 bark from a water root elm.
Okay.
There we go. That'll work. Sorry, one sec. My little app generates a set each time I reload, so I'm just doing that. All right. You've got 8. Here we go. You've got 8 units of tail. Let's say tail hair, just tail from a black-necked horse. 3 more. You also have 8. Where are we here? Sap from a snow root orange tree.
Two more.
All right. Oops. You've got 6 wood from a red-barked olive tree.
Last one.
And finally, hold on. I'm tilting the table slightly
Okay.
because I feel like it. You've got 4 ichor from a red-ringed cicada.
Okay. And can I ask, in terms of the economy of these magical items, typically would something at what level of component value would we reach the 1 copper mark? Is a component that's capable of being singly used to cast a level 0 spell with a single component, I take it that's worth less than a copper.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've actually
So
got
Significantly.
right.
Yeah.
How high up do you have to go to get up to the level of a copper, would you say?
So that's actually multi-dimensional, and I can't actually tell you that because I'll just tell you mechanically, and the audience can hear. There's a maximum of 6 spells per component.
Okay.
There may be only 1, or there may be 0 on a. You get a random body part of a thing, and it just doesn't have anything on it.
Nothing.
Right?
Yep.
But there's a maximum of 6. They tend to have around 2 or 3, but it can go up to 6, down to 1. And if you had something with 6 level 2 spells, that's pretty valuable. 6 level 3 spells. But also if you have something with 1 level 8 spell, that's really valuable. So it's not exactly that. That said, I do have an actual equation that I just have to go boop, 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 and it tells me how much it's worth. So,
Beautiful.
yeah.
Okay.
And what'll happen is
so-
when you go to try to sell some, the people will hopefully give you a fair deal or not. And I'll tell you, roll a perception and they think it's a good deal or not.
So the only
Insight.
reason why I'm asking you to kind of ruin immersion and tell me mechanically is just for the sake of Sleen and Diamondback would both have some kind of approximately the same notion of how much the components and the money are worth
Yeah.
relative to each other.
Yeah.
And so Sleen is not trying to screw Diamondback over, is not trying to make a bad deal for Diamondback,
Yeah.
but she's
Good components, you often like really good components if they're on class for you. In other words, what you the player would know, like this is my magic, my kind of stuff. If they're on class for you and they've got level and school and whatever, some people just wouldn't even sell their components.
sure.
Like,
Yeah, so that's Diamondback, who's his sort of his village's economic role is they have lots of components in a well-kept storeroom, and they sell their like wizarding capacity to battling villages as like mercenaries.
arms.
So
dealers.
Diamondback sees his primary like economic job in the world as having lots and lots of different components that he knows how to use and selling his services doing magic with these components to other people.
Sounds good.
So he'll take a bad deal in exchange for more components.
Okay.
and you'll find out that copper can be found. It's not rare. It would not be strange for you to come across somebody with 100, though that person would have a fair bit of money. They could buy 10 slaves with it, or well, probably a little fewer. So a rare component is worth more than copper could buy, probably. A decent component, you just make a deal. You say, yeah, I'll give you 2 copper for that, or a copper. But if it's just got if it's like got mending on it a couple of times, I mean, that's a level 0, and it's got you can do mending. Great, woohoo! Somebody's gonna be like, I'm not gonna give you a copper for mending.
So
Okay.
the next thing that we do, can we have a little time pass
We can have time pass.
while I'm
first of all,
resting so
why
I
don't you
get a
tell-
short rest?
Will you just narrate what happened in the hour that you did?
Yeah, so
Diamondback
during that
especially.
hour, I think Celine is just cataloging all this stuff. So an hour goes by, and she's just, she's got out a little piece of parchment. She probably actually is literate from her family training. So she's making notes on just a little scrap of leaf or, skin or something like that.
Cool.
So,
And just to say, you don't know whether Celine does not know whether or not Diamondback would turn you in and try to sell you for being literate, for being a rebel.
sure.
So you might not be very overt about that until you get to know him a little.
Sure.
Also, vice versa, you don't know where he is on that sort of moral scale. Okay,
Right.
sounds good. Diamondback, how are you feeling?
Has it been an hour?
Sure, let's say it's been an hour.
Sweet, I'm gonna roll this die then. Eesh. Here, short rest. I get back 3 hit points. So now I'm at 4 out of 8.
Okay, you're halfway.
So I'm still. So if you come in and look at me, I'm
Yeah.
still curled up. I like am holding like one of their pillows or like a blanket or something over this like wound in my chest and sort of shivering. Don't appear to be near death anymore, and the color has returned. I'm not ashen and white anymore, but like I'm definitely still hurt.
Okay.
not completely recovered.
It's 3 p.m. You have, you would know, about 3 hours until dark. So, make a call. What do y'all want to do?
I'm asleep.
Yeah, so I think Celine sees that he's still asleep and still is looking a little rough. So she's going to go back out and basically start over the next hour. She's going to, how long, in the space of an hour, how many components can you suss out?
I had been thinking just one component per hour, but that sounds a little sparse. One each. I think I'm probably more likely to. Excuse me. I think I'm probably more likely to let you roll a d4.
Okay. Let me roll a d4 then, because I think
We'll attune this as we go along. I just don't know how to do that right. But go ahead, roll a d4.
well, I rolled a 1, so
Okay, so this hour you get 1.
yeah, I think there's 7 teeth of this frost-eyed jackal.
Okay.
So I'm going to knock that down to 6.
Oh
And
gosh.
I would like to know what the frost-eyed jackal, do I need to make a check to try
No.
to, okay.
That 100% makes sense to me, and let me make sure I can tell you this information. Crud.
Because if not, I didn't want to game it and say red-eyed pig because you gave. Actually,
No.
Can I make a nature check to try to get a sense of which of these would be the best to test?
Sure. Give me just a second here.
Okay.
No, you can't tell anything like that from your nature check.
Or as opposed to, I think I've got. Okay.
You would need to detect magic spell.
Okay. All right. So there's no. Okay. All right. In that case, yeah. So the frost-eyed jackal.
Give me 1 sec.
Okay.
Oh, good. I do have that. Okay. Please work. Hold on.
Works on my machine.
That's right. What did I call it?
The most prestigious level of accreditation any developer can give to his codebase. Works on my machine.
No. Works on our test server.
No. It compiled.
Passes TypeScript. 75% test coverage for unit tests.
Oh my gosh. We're getting into stratospheres of quality that are.
I'm sorry.
I didn't see any errors.
For our listening audience, I apologize. It's going to take me just a minute more. I broke something earlier, and I just.
You would now interrupt Matt bragging about his code quality.
Oh my gosh. I wish I worked
Passes-
at a. I wish I worked at a. Go ahead.
Passes all TypeScript checks, 75% code coverage by line on which function is called.
I can't even get my teammates to put prop types into their components. Like, goodness gracious, guys, this is just the lowest of low-hanging fruit.
TypeScript, bro.
I know. We started to go down the TypeScript path, and then everyone was
And it
like,
was hard.
ugh.
It
Yeah.
was hard. And now you have these random undefined errors, trying to divide by undefined, trying to get some property of undefined. I can't find a property of undefined. Why is it broken? It's broken because TypeScript was too hard for you.
At least it's not as bad as getting Oracle errors that don't even remotely bubble up to the level of the Entity Framework Bridge. And it's just, I don't know, dude. Didn't work.
I've got there's a Twitter storm right now of people just angry about us getting off of our campaign and talking about the code. I'm just kidding. No, y'all were doing great. I appreciate the filler while I got that, and I did unkink it. So tell me what it was you were getting. You have a frost-eyed jackal.
Correct. Teeth.
there's the claw, the tail. It has various little things. Give me a second. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to pipe it into less. Okay.
Rep it, baby. Rep it and repel it.
That's right.
So Robert hasn't gotten to the user interface portion of this tool.
He's a user, and he interfaces with it. My grandfather didn't speak any Russian, and this Russian guy that he was talking to didn't speak any English, and they still managed to communicate to one another and agree that MS-DOS was the last good operating system.
Wow. Frost-eyed jackal.
Teeth.
Yeah, why isn't it doing it?
Twofers. Well, I could always ask you for that red-eyed pig if you're having trouble with the frost-eyed jackal.
You know what? I might have to owe you these at the break.
Actually, you know what? I think I would go red-eyed pig because that's the only one that I've got two different components from the same creature. So that's not gaming it. So let's go red-eyed pig and see if you've got spells for that.
Okay, I found out how to get the tooth. Sorry.
Oh, okay, you did. Okay,
Yeah,
then I will.
It was not a technical issue. It was the output was really long, and I had to scour for tooth, but I got it.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right, got it.
Okay, it has Find Familiar, which is level 1.
Okay.
What is it?
Find Familiar.
Teeth of a frost-eyed jackal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which you can write down because Celine. Well, I mean, Matt can do whatever he wants. But
I'm writing it down
Diamond-
provisionally in case Sleen tells Diamondback about
I'm
it.
saying Celine will, so you can go and write it down. But I'm just saying, Diamondback will know.
Great, and that's the only thing it has on it.
Level 1, Find Familiar. Okay, very good. Okay, cool.
What else? They'll go faster now that I figured out how to do it.
Okay, 6, Red-Eyed Pig will also go teeth.
Okay.
And do I have to use one up to do this?
You do have to use one
Yeah.
each time. You're,
Okay.
understanding it, grokking it, literally.
Oh, I need to roll a d4 for this next hour. 3. Okay, so let's go Red-Eyed Pig, teeth, Red-Eyed Pig, scat, and Rotten Leaf Willow, sap. So first is the Red-Eyed Pig, teeth, and scat.
Okay. The tooth has Sacred Flame,
At what level?
which is a level 0 spell.
Okay.
Teleport, level 7.
That's 7. Dang. Okay.
And
The scat.
no, it's actually got more.
Oh.
It's
Oh
got
my gosh.
True Seeing at level 6,
Okay.
and that's it.
Okay. And then the Red-Eyed Pig scat.
That's the same animal, right?
Correct.
Okay. You've got a level 0 Eldritch Blast, and that's it.
Okay. All right. Very good. And then the Rotten Leaf Willow sap. Rotten Leaf Willow sap.
Okay.
I hope all you cool kids out there are writing this down. Remember, kids, if you write it down, it's science.
Sorry, say it again. Rotten.
Rotten Leaf Willow. I couldn't tell whether you were pronouncing a dash between rotten and leaf or not, so I just wrote it down as one word.
Yeah, there's always a dash. It's something dash something space the thing.
That's what I thought.
And you wanted the sap, you said.
Correct.
All right. You've got Mending, which is a cantrip, level 0.
Okay.
And that is all.
Okay.
So now it's 4 p.m. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Now it is 5 p.m. You've got one more hour until. Sorry, what's that?
I think it's 4 p.m. because you said it was 2, and we've just gone through a 2-hour.
It was 2 when he laid down, right?
Yeah.
Laid
3,
down for an hour
4.
while you categorized everything.
Yeah.
So that's 2 to 3.
And then 2 hours of.
Oh, 2 hours. I didn't hear you say 2 hours. I
Yeah,
apologize.
you did.
In that
You rolled a
case-
1 and then you rolled a 3.
In that case, I can do 2 more.
You can do one more hour of stuff before nightfall, and actually during the night you get a lot more. You can, you have downtime.
Okay, let's do 1 from the black-necked horse.
Did you roll your d4?
I did. Yeah, that's how I got 2 more for
Okay.
this final hour.
And this takes us to 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay, and you've got 2, which we've done 1. And what are you looking for in the black-necked horse?
This should bring us to 5, right? Because we did a 1-hour break and a 2-hour break. So 2, 3, 4, 5.
At 2 p.m., you cataloged everything until 3 p.m.
Yeah.
From
and then
3 to
from
4,
3
you rolled a 1. From 4 to 5, you rolled a 3. From 5 to 6, you rolled a 2.
Oh, I was okay, I gotcha. Okay, that's fair. Okay.
So,
But at this point, he should have a long rest. Okay, that's fine.
what do you want off a black-necked horse?
Tail.
You've got Sanctuary, which is level 1.
Okay.
Okay. One more thing.
And then 1 snow root orange tree sap.
Okay. That has stuff on it too. Woo! It has Shocking Grasp, level 0.
Okay.
Good. So, night falls. 6 o'clock. It's not an even fall because the day is not bright. It is relatively gloomy all the time. But as night falls, the swirling blackness, the mist that hangs over everything gets very, it at least feels very dense. One of the side effects of that is that it's a thick, dark pall flowing and covering all of the landscape. One of the side effects of that is that species that would, normally have dark vision do not in the jungle. It is black, and unless you have a light or a fire, it stays black all night from about 6 p.m. With a few minutes on either side as as the light of the canopy is waning, till around 12 hours later, which you could call 6 a.m. In order to get a long rest, Matt, you have Diamondback has already been sleeping from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. 4 hours, so you need 4 more hours to get a long rest. That would give you 8 hours of the night awake if you wanted to. Josh, you have 4 hours, then you could get also a long rest if you want to. You would have the same 4 hours and an 8-hour long rest. It is not recommended that you venture outside. It is up to you whether you try to maintain a campfire outside of your tent. That may or may not be a good idea. And during the night, there are 3 watches. You should... the mechanic, which I'll just tell you about and so our listeners can understand, is you roll for an encounter each watch of the night. You roll with disadvantage on the encounter if there's no one on watch. If there's no one up and awake to scare away a beast or whatever.
So I think Sleen is going to take the first watch and just let Diamondback just sleep for another 4 hours and just get that uninterrupted 8 hours of rest. And then at that point, he'll have rested for 8 hours. So presumably Diamondback will be able to take the next 2 watches back to back.
Cool.
So, yeah, can I do anything to try to put myself in a better position going into the night, can I make any kind of survival or nature check to try to identify any like game trails or maybe
Well,
like what kind of species of animals are
yeah.
running around in the trees, anything like that?
It's 6 p.m. It's black. It's pitch black already. So
Already, okay.
maybe you could have done it in the previous hour, but whatever. You're
Gotcha.
identifying components, which is totally cool too. What you
Yeah.
can do though is I will let you make a survival check, and I recommend doing it from inside the tent with a high DC. But if you pass that, you'll get advantage on avoiding an encounter.
Okay.
So go for it.
Woo! That's a lovely time to roll a 17. And she's got a +4, so that's a 21.
You did do it. That does pass the threshold for it. So you have advantage on this period. You're basically, what you're doing is you're very actively, very attentively listening, and so you're not doing other stuff, right? You're not,
Right.
writing in your diary or looking for components, but you are rolling advantage to not get an encounter. So go ahead and do that. Encounter the level that we're going for here. It's pretty low for where y'all are in the forest. It's a 7. So under a 7, you'll get an encounter. Above a 7, you won't. So
14.
okay, you're good for the first watch.
Okay.
You want to wake up Diamondback and narrate whatever?
Yeah, so basically at the end of this time, Celine kind of goes over and tries to kind of like very gently snap her fingers. She doesn't want to poke him or be within arm's reach of him when she wakes him up because she doesn't know, if he's going to wake up swinging, being disoriented from being asleep for a long time.
Sure.
And she says, "Hey, sleepyhead, you you feel like you got enough rest in you?"
What you see is he is sort of twitching and moving around a little bit in his sleep. And then when you speak, he goes still with his eyes shut for like a minute.
Okay. She's like, easy, killer. I'm just, I'm trying to wake you up as gentle as I can. I'll be over here on this side of the tent. You let me know when you're cool.
And then he opens his eyes and sits up. Thanks for watching out while I slept.
No problem. Anything for the man who sticks his neck out for a stranger. So, I have some good news. And she hands him 4 copper and says, I'm not sure if I'm willing to just take the money because we got some good stuff. But for the spirit of our arrangement and what you asked, I will be more than happy to give you more of the good stuff. So she gives him 2 leaves of blackwood fig tree. And I don't know, Matt, do you want to do this right now or do you want to do this during the break? Where I give you a whole bunch of components.
Do we want it on the audio? Yeah, just narrate it. Tell me what you give me.
Okay.
Also,
yeah, she says, go ahead.
Real quickly. Also, I just shared with you, just like your component pouches, I just shared with everybody a joint component pouch, so you can just transfer easy by copy paste and grab them through there. And then
okay.
You can just read them, and then Matt can copy and paste whatever, and you just deduct them from your side.
Okay. So she hands him 2 leaves of the blackwood fig tree, 3 sap of the rotten leaf willow.
Okay.
3 teeth of the red-eyed pig. And she points at this and she says, I had a little bit of time to test some of these out, and the rotten leaf willow is good for mending. The red-eyed pig is good for sacred flame, true seeing, and teleport. And so as she hands 3 of them to him and puts 2 in her own component pouch, she gives him kind of a, like, see what I'm doing here? I'm not doing you dirty. Like, this is me being nice, right? It's giving you more of them. And she gives you 3 scat of the red-eyed pig and says, "This is good for Eldritch Blast."
Excellent.
She gives him 3 fangs of the white-scaled adder, 1 claw of the green-footed badger. She gives him both wings of the gray-skinned bat and says, "I don't know if you have any of these or not. I've got a couple, so I'm happy for you to learn their virtues. By the way, these are good for light and charm person." And I'm sure she says that. Do you have any of those?
No, and I don't know their properties yet. So yeah, tell me.
Yeah. So she shares this
Light
information.
is light is a cantrip.
Yes. And charm person is 1.
Awesome.
She gives him 4. She shows him that she gives him 4, and she takes 2 of the teeth of the frost-eyed jackal, and says, "These will bring a familiar to you." She gives him. She asks him, "Do you know the properties of this waterroot elm?" And she holds them up.
I'm afraid not.
Well, she hands him all 3 and says, "Please do tell me what these do if you manage to discern it."
I will.
Won't do me much good, probably, to have just one of them. She gives him 4 tails of the black-necked horse, and she says, "These will bring a sanctuary around you."
Oh, nice.
And she gives him 4 sap of the snow root orange tree.
Stop for a second. Matt,
Yep.
You wrote Sanctuary on the water root elm, but it's the black-necked horse,
Oh,
the tail.
Yeah, black-necked horse tail
Okay.
gives you level 1 sanctuary, and you've got 4.
got it.
Yep. She gives him 4 sap of the snow root orange tree, and those will give you shocking grasp, she says.
Excellent.
Okay. This red-barked olive tree, do you know this?
I'm sorry, I don't.
That's fair. And she just splits them evenly, gives you 3, and she keeps 3 wood of the red-barked olive tree. And she says, she kind of holds out her hand for whatever the D&D world equivalent of rock, paper, scissors is, and says, "Loser burns one and tells the other."
Sounds fair to me.
All right. Do you want odds or evens?
Odds. Very odd.
All right. Well, it's even.
You
So
magician.
you lose. So next chance you get, be sure to burn one of those red-barked olive trees and let me know. And then she splits. She holds up this. Oh man, my arm. Red-ringed cicada ichor, and she says, "Are you familiar with this?"
I'm not.
Well, okay. She hands you 2 of them, so we each have 2 ichor of the red-ringed cicada, and she says, "Go again." Like for odds, evens, see who burns one of theirs and tells the other what it is.
Sure.
Okay. Odds this time, so I'll make a mark of this one to be sure to remember to burn. I owe you the answer for. I owe you the truth of the red-ringed cicada. All
So
right.
At this point, he is sitting up, sort of stretching, and he's going to roll a d6 to get his new max HP.
Nice.
This is a very important role in a young wizard's life.
Indeed.
It's the difference between staying at between having 11 hit points and having 16 or 17. Big difference for level
basically
2.
either inching your hit points up or doubling them.
Yeah. So here's the roll. It's a 2. So let me put that in.
Maybe that's why
There's
when
gonna
he woke up from this
8
nap, Celine didn't instantly go, whoa.
He's going to have 8 rolled hit points and 4 constitution hit points for a total of 12. Hold on, I gotta actually put that into D&D Beyond. Manage
All right.
levels.
Celine looks him in the eye after he pockets the stuff and says, I don't know about you, but I've found that it's easy enough to find enemies in these jungles and very hard to find someone who you can trust. I hope that the fairness that we've shown one another and the goodwill is enough for tonight for neither of us to wake up with a slit throat or anything. And she sticks out her hand to him.
You've been awfully generous for one who I found tied to a rock.
Not too generous, I hope. I wouldn't want to overshoot it and make you think I'm just going to knock you over the head and take them all later. She says, I am the one going to sleep. And she's still got her hand stuck out for a good-natured handshake.
Yeah, he shakes your hand. It is a little bit too firm. Like he's not quite comfortable shaking hands yet.
Okay.
But he's it's like he's been told that you should shake hands firmly. And so he squeezes like a little too hard.
Celine rolls an 18 plus 2 is 20 insight check to basically get a read on this guy. So I guess that is probably something that, Matt, you would have to answer maybe just as much as Sir Robert.
Yeah, what do you want to know about him?
She just wants to know whether he's telling the truth when he says, I'm not gonna kill you and take your stuff in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Sir Robert should say, but he's not trying to deceive you.
Yeah.
With a good insight check on this character, you would tell that he's pretty young and he's pretty full of himself, and he wants to think of himself as dangerous and edgy and cool, but he's not sure whether he is or not.
Celine exudes this in spades. So I'm sure Diamondback is probably first of all, she's super hot, but second of all, she exudes that level of self-assuredness and self-confidence. That's the one.
Diamondback really, really wants to impress her. And so he's trying to like act like a big important man.
Right.
Says, I'll take watch.
Please.
You'll be safe with me watching.
I've got I'm just about cross-eyed from inventorying everything. And she gives him a kind of a grateful smile and turns and goes to sleep.
Cool. Yeah, so Diamondback does want to do the best job that he can watching. Let's see.
And here are your options real quickly, Matt. I was thinking about this and I think it'll work out, so I'm going to try it. We're just going to do when you're doing watch for these things, we're just going to do a like contested fate check. And if you're, well, all that means is we're going to roll together. And,
okay.
If you win, you don't get an encounter. And if I win, you do. If what you're doing is paying attention, like we just did with Celine, then you've got advantage. And if both of you are asleep, then I've got advantage. Or you've got disadvantage. Same thing. So.
Okay.
What do you want to do? You can also do something else, and then it's just a fair roll.
Am I rolling
a d20?
So it would. Okay.
Are you going to be vigilant and paying attention, making sure if you hear something, you can scare it away type of thing? Or are you going to be checking your components or whatever?
I'm definitely going to be being vigilant.
Okay, so you roll with advantage, and I'll roll regular.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
What you got?
19.
I got a 3. So you kept her safe.
We happen to the jungle.
So about 4 hours through, that was about 10 p.m. It's 2 a.m. now. You've been keeping watch. You've been really listening hard outside. You've heard rustling of animals. Nothing that sounded scary. You probably heard, I don't know, some kind of monkey in the trees a little ways off or whatever. You didn't feel freaked out. Nothing roared. Yeah, that's right. With a difference between like a 3 and a 19, you feel like you did a good job. There wasn't anything scary, and you handled anything that there was. You've been doing it for 4 hours straight. You know that you're in the last stretch before dawn.
A slug comes by and Diamondback. Ping!
That's right. Magic missile. No. You've done it for 4 hours straight. You can take a few minutes and kind of relax, but you know that you're in the last stretch before dawn. It's up to you. It's least likely time that there's something awake, but again, because it's whatever. But go for it. What do you want to do?
So I think what let me look this up. I should have looked it up earlier. How long does alarm last for?
I think it's 8 hours. I can tell you. Give me a sec.
Yeah, it's 8 hours. So it would kind of be no, it wouldn't be a waste because we would have it for the first part of the day if we wanted it.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm going to. Here's what I'd like to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to watch carefully for the first half.
Okay.
And then the last 2 hours, I'm going to let my concentration slip a little bit and use those 2 hours to identify some components.
Okay. Yeah, I could do that. I had been thinking in 4 hour chunks. I don't care. Just mechanical. So let me tell you what we'll do. Yeah, let's just do it the exact same way. And roll with advantage for the first 2 hours. Ready?
Yep. 12.
16.
Woohoo!
Something comes up. Let us
With XP in its blood.
Right. I'll tell you in a second what it is, and you will. I'll let you decide whether you want to wake up Celine, and say like, "Hey, there's a, whatever it is."
Yeah. So I'm sitting in front of the tent flap, and she's in the tent, presumably.
Give me just a second. Sorry. I have a creature roller that's just going to tell us what there is. Sorry, it's loading.
We're fighting a loading? Jared, my favorite Parks and Rec line is when Andy is at Leslie's computer. He says, "Leslie, I typed your symptoms into WebMD and it says you might have network connectivity issues."
I remember that. That's pretty good. Hey, so Matt, you walk outside, or rather you... Let me
I am outside.
What's that?
I'm...
You're inside the tent,
Go ahead
I think.
and narrate.
Listening. Let me narrate for you what you see here. You hear...
I had intended to be outside the tent.
Oh, okay. That's fine with me. You hear outside the edge of the camp, like outside the circle of the camp, something like hoof falls. They don't sound aggressive, particularly. It's just in the jungle, or like outside of where you can see. But you not suddenly, but you end up hearing a kind of a, sort of a hoof sound and a. Do you want to make a check to see? I'll let you do a nature check or to see if you can figure out what it is. It's very low, and it should be pretty obvious, but I'll let you check.
Okay, I roll a 20 on my nature check to see what
20?
it is. That's going to be a 22. Yes, a natural 20.
Okay.
Them ding dang squirrels better get out of my camp.
This is a draft horse, and you're pretty sure you recognize the exact draft horse as one that you encountered sometime in the past.
Is Is it tame?
It is. You have not gone up to it at all yet. It does not seem to be attacking you, but so you don't know if it's tame or not. If you want to try to encounter it, or use some kind of animal handling, I'm okay with that. If you want to try to scare it away by just waving a flaming orc head or whatever, I mean, I'm okay with that.
So I would know from being in this region, are most of the horses around here tame and owned by people, or are there like wild horses around?
There are wild horses around. This one's a big horse. Also, a lot of times it's just a horse of somebody that died in the jungle and their horse just wandered around. I mean,
Right.
Who knows how long it's been there? It's a horse.
Yeah. I'm going to approach the horse, but in a friendly way. I'm going to like cluck my tongue and do the things that you do to try and make friends with a horse.
Okay.
To see if I'm trying to figure out if it's a tame horse, and if it is a tame horse, if it would like to hang out with some nice people.
Okay.
So you're not waking up Celine?
No, I'm not waking up Celine for a horse.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
It does not appear to be responding tamely to you. It's also not aggressive, but you're not close to it yet.
I walk up to it.
All right.
Can I make an animal handling check?
You know what I'll do is, yes, I'll let you make an animal handling check, but give me a second to think about. Okay, go for it.
All right. Animal handling is 12 in this case.
Okay.
Roll a 12.
It is, and I'm trying to figure out how to get this. There you go. It is startled by you, scared by you, and you should roll initiative.
Okay.
It's not particularly tame seeming, or at least it doesn't like shirtless wizards at night. Maybe
Right.
it mistook you for a snake.
My initiative in this case is 10.
Okay, let me write that down. Sorry, hold on. There we go. 10. And go. Okay, the draft horse. Basically, it is. It sees you coming close to it because it didn't expect it. Rears up and it's going to try to hoof you. Just grab you there.
Okay.
It rolls a 18. Does that hit?
An 18 certainly hits.
For 9 damage.
I yelp loudly in pain.
Okay.
Celine's passive perception is a 14, so you let me know when she wakes up.
I yelp loudly enough for Celine to hear.
I would imagine that the sonic
Yeah!
and percussive boom of that chest, of that hoof hitting your chest for 9 hit points is non-negligible.
So do you want to have Celine wake up? It's Diamondback's turn. Celine, why don't you roll initiative and we'll see where you are.
All
Why don't we
right.
have Josh roll initiative? We'll see where Celine is in the order.
That's a 1. So -1 is 0.
It's Diamondback's turn.
I did go a little distance from the camp to go up to this horse.
Yeah, but
So
you're on the
you'll have-
edge.
Okay.
You'd be visible to Celine.
This horse just really hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
I would be dead if it was yesterday.
I was just thinking that.
I go right into the pouch. I pull out the fur of a spiny-tailed crocodile, which how do those have fur? But okay.
It's
And
a
I
magical
combine it-
crocodile.
Okay. And I combine it with the blood of a silky-backed cardinal to trigger. I changed my thing. I changed the number, and to trigger magic missile.
Okay.
And I what is my magic missile like?
It is a level 1 spell. You get 3 of them, I think, right?
Yeah, I get 3 bolts. But are they just D4s plus 1, or do I add
it's
something?
D4 plus 1 for each bolt.
All right. here comes some D4s of magical force. And if you're partway out of the tent, you're going to see the glow as these magic missiles like zip past the trees. You're going to see weird shadows and flickering as this arcane energy just smashes into a horse. That's going to be 4 + 1 is 5.
Okay.
And then it's going to take a 3 + 1 is 4 for 9. And then another 3 + 1 is 4 for 13 damage to this horse.
All right. That you really the horse is hurt quite badly, and it neighs and rears up and is stunned and did not expect. It was just grazing around in the forest, right? It got startled.
Yeah.
Now it hurt you, but you hurt it back. It is Celine's turn. Because you're not awake yet, Josh, I'm going to let you decide, if Celine wakes up or whatever. You pick how you want to enter her in or not.
She's already had time to rest, and she's got a pretty high passive perception, and she just heard her buddy, so I think she's awake.
Yeah.
I think she's going to pull her classic create bonfire, and a bonfire is going to appear under this thing, so it's going to have to make it.
Let me just narrate what you see. Do you emerge from the tent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you come out of the tent, you see that Diamondback is clearly he's been wounded in some way, but is heroically staving off what appears to be a war horse. A big horse. It's not like a small pony. And you see him. It's standing right at the edge of the camp. The firelight is illuminating his back. You can see the diamonds, the level 2 ripples of muscle. And you can see the horse has been, just reared up and is rampant in front of him. And he's trying to deal with it. You see the glow of the magic missiles, and you reach into your pouch.
Yeah, she reaches into her pouch and pulls out the hoof of a broad-eyed bear and
The paw, the hoof.
crushes it and flings it in the direction of the horse, and a massive, like 1 square meter ball of flame erupts from the earth and begins licking the belly of the horse. It needs to make a DC 13 dexterity check.
Okay. DC 13?
Yeah, I think so. That's what the kind of standard low-level DC is.
Okay, he got a 9.
Okay. So he's going to take 7 points of fire damage as these flames scorch him.
Yeah, you... boy, howdy, I tell you what. That, the horse, it was already severely wounded by the magic missile darts.
Yeah.
And when it reared up, and you created that bonfire right under it, and it slammed its belly right onto the bonfire as it came down, which did it in. The horse collapses onto the fire, and you smell the charred flesh.
And she's like, "Oh man, I was hungry."
Diamondback sees him fall, and it's clear that the horse has died, and he, lets himself down a little bit and kind of gathers himself about this. Let's see, 2 hours past, so it is 2 hours before dawn. I'll let y'all work out the interaction there.
Celine No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You see him, the horse collapses. Celine looks at the horse. He pokes it with his boot, his shiny black leather boot with heels. And then he turns and he says, "Do you fancy some horse ribs for breakfast?" And and when he turns to you, you can see that he almost has just the bruise on his chest that's starting to bloom from this hoof.
Right.
It's like all the way up to his neck.
Right.
Like his torso is just all bruised from this brutal, like you think he's got ribs broken, and he's trying to make a quip to you like he's cool.
Right.
But he's barely standing.
Yeah. She looks at him and she says, "Yes, I'm hungry. But how did you pick a fight with a horse?
I don't know, man. I thought it would be cool.
She says, next time, whatever. You know what? And she goes over and she says, this would be a total waste. She's kind of muttering under her breath. She's obviously kind of PO'd that an innocent, non-violent animal is dead. But she goes over and she grabs one of the orcs' obsidian hatchet and starts kind of working on getting the back strap out of the back of the horse.
If you would like, you can.
You're not going to get the benefits of a long rest. I guess you're already not going to get the benefits of a long rest.
She was also in perfect health.
Yeah, she's in perfect health. She's already slept 4 hours, so I think as long as she grabs a little bit of rest here, I don't think she's in danger of
Listen,
exhaustion.
If you don't mind, I could use a little snooze here.
Go ahead.
Just
go ahead. She's just waving him onto the tent.
We're gonna do a roll to see how perceptive Diamondback is. He's like, oh, thanks. I owe you one. And he goes back to the tent and
she's
lies
just
down again.
She's just shaking her head and muttering to herself angrily while she is kind of butchering this horse a little bit. She just goes straight for the back strap, and she does cut off the tail because she figures that the tail hairs are going to be, useful for something. And if she can, she's a leather worker by trade.
Oh, is this a black-necked? Is this a black-necked horse?
This is a white-tailed draft horse.
Okay. What kind of check would she need to make?
Sorry. Yeah, let's make it a black-necked horse. Why not? There's no reason. Since you've encountered it before, like I said, there's a 50-50 on it.
Oh, black-necked horse. Okay, so how much more tail do I get from this?
Give me 1 second and I will tell you.
Sure. And do I need to make any kind of check to harvest it?
And while he's doing that, can I get a short rest?
Yes, you may. Oh, there's 2 hours left. Yeah, you can. Josh, you're getting components?
Yes.
I would like for you to roll for me. A D10.
Okay. 1D10 coming up hot. 6.
You get 6 components.
Cool.
Ready?
All right. Ready.
These are all from a black-necked horse.
Okay.
Okay. You've got, and I'm just going to pick these randomly here. Hold on 1 sec. Sorry, give me a sec. I've almost got it. Where are my D10s? There they are. Okay.
Wait. Oh, nuts.
What's up?
Give me just 1 sec.
Sure.
Recently closed. Here we go. I accidentally closed the tab. My apologies.
No problem.
All right, I'm ready when you are.
Okay. All right. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You've got 3 hooves of this black-necked horse.
Okay.
3 blood. 2 scat, which you yourself carved freshly from the intestines.
Fresh scat, quality scat.
That's right.
I'll tell you what its diet's been like soon.
That's right.
It's like calcium deficiency.
You got both of its eyes.
Okay.
And for reasons... did I already say you had a hoof?
3.
3, yeah. And then you got 4 tail units.
Okay.
And one more, which is 4 teeth.
Nice.
So that's actually a pretty good haul. You know, it's a big animal. You got a lot of junk out of it.
We need to both stay asleep more often. And with whatever time she has remaining after harvesting those, she does pull out a frying pan and whip up some horse steaks for breakfast.
That's your last, and that'll be the 2 hours. That'll be
okay.
The sun is going to come up. Basically, it'll after 2 hours. You'll see. No, sorry, not the sun coming up. The canopy lightens, and it was a pretty decent night. It was you came across a kind of wild horse in the daylight. Matt, is Diamondback going to wake up? Okay.
Yeah, Diamond. I mean, I was going to do a scene when he wakes up.
Oh, do it. Yeah.
I need Josh paying attention.
Okay.
I am paying attention and listening.
Okay. So, Diamondback, after a couple of hours after this short rest, he's gonna come out of the tent, and the bruise is mostly faded. Like he seems to have mostly recovered. His hit points are at full, but he has no hit die left, so has no more like healing capacity for today. But he comes out, and you see him looking a little bit more humble, and he approaches you, Sleen.
Sleen is kneeling by the fire with a frying pan. A rock, a really hot rock, and some horse steaks are sizzling on it. And she looks up at him and kind of raises her eyebrow at what is undoubtedly massive purple, green, and blue bruise on his chest, and gives him a
He's going to if she offers him food, he'll take some. But he says to her, "So listen, I seems like I'm tend to get myself in trouble out here. I haven't been on my own in the forest very much so far, and I just think I'd appreciate it if you could take the lead from here on."
Fair enough. Humility is a quality that'll keep you alive at least a little bit longer out here, but common sense will keep you alive a lot longer. Might I suggest that before you walk up to, and she kind of looks over at the corpse of the horse and says, 800-pound draft horses? You ask for a little bit of backup, or at least give me a nudge.
But it was
I'll do the same.
A lot of horses are tame. I thought it might be tame.
You know, I wrestle crocodiles for a living, and I can tell you, tame or wild doesn't really make a difference. The difference is whether or not it makes contact. But
I suppose the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And he sort of like touches his chest and says, "I should let the woman who wrestles crocodiles take the lead."
So, examining the horse, you find that it is seemingly unrelated to your activities. It is scarred. The horse has been scarred over quite a period of its life, it seems like. And strapped to one side of the horse, where you would have guessed at some point there was probably a saddle. There is not one now. Strapped to one side is a bedroll, a normal bedroll, but it's way better than sleeping on the ground. And neither of you have a bedroll.
okay.
So you can take that, and strapped to the other side are 2 spears. Spears and javelins being the most common weapon in the jungle because anybody can sharpen a stick. It's just 2 regular spears, but hey, it's not nothing. What you gather from this is that the horse some time ago probably was violently emancipated from its owner, who apparently was some kind of fighter, maybe a mercenary, maybe just a townsperson who was at war or maybe a slaver. Either way, it seems like it was a while ago, and it has been walking around with 2 spears and a bedroll on it for some time, and now it has stopped its journey through the jungle, and now is on its journey through your bowels. So,
And might we pause our journey through the jungle so as to take a short break?
absolutely, now is a good time for our 10-minute break. Jared, just to let you know, when we get back, I was going to have y'all previously interact with Dwight's character already, but it doesn't look like he made it back. We can try to figure out a different solution if we want, or we can bring him in next week. Jared, you'll be coming up soon. Cool. Well, 10-minute break. We'll be back at 9:20.
Go your own way, stones and shadows by. Willows whisper of darkness deep and wide. In the forest, there is no place to hide. Strange bells, tonight I fear that I will not survive the dying of the light.
1. All right, everybody, we are back for the next exciting installment of The Dying of the Light. In the first half hour, or actually the first hour, I guess-ish, we had a heated battle between Diamondback, the shirtless Vegas-style wizard, and a warhorse, a draft horse, who he stumbled upon their camp in the night and minded its own business until Diamondback valiantly goaded it into fighting and stomping him hard. I'm just playing. He did a great job. He was trying, and they could have.
What I want you to imagine is Chris Angel getting kicked in the chest by a horse so hard that he almost dies.
I saw that episode. All right, so let's get back into it. I'm actually going to real quickly because just to let everybody know that we were expecting to have Dwight introduced his character this evening. However, due to technical difficulties, he wasn't able to make it. I'm actually just going to cut all references to him in post. So I have now removed his image. So those of you listening on the podcast, just pretend like you never saw it. All right. Let's get back into things. We pick up right with Sleene and Diamondback having negotiated that Sleene is definitely the alpha male. And
like a hyena, though she is a female, she is unquestionably the primary leader.
And they just got a lot of components from, a fair bit of components from this horse that they killed, as well as the day's breakfast rations. So that's great. They also picked up, if you want to take it, you decide, 2 spears, javelins.
Javelins.
Sorry, go ahead.
Of the spears, Diamondback says to Sleene, I think you should have this stuff. You deserve the bedroll more than I do, I think. And I, frankly, and he looks really embarrassed. I don't know how to use a spear. So
I've never had that much use for them. But they make a heck of a walking staff. She hands one to him and says, but I'll take you up on the bedroll. And she kind of pats him on the cheek and straps the bedroll to the back of her pack.
And then he proceeds to tell her of the village that he knows about. And I've been making my way towards this town that I know about that I think will be a safe place. And I have some directions in my mind that I figured out from woodcraft and finding hunter's marks or whatever on the trees. And
Sure.
So I convey that information to Sleene. But it's not, let's go to this village, definitely. It's, I was making my way to this village before I found you. I don't know if you think that's a safe place to go. We might want to go that way, but it's totally up to you.
Now, just for everybody to know, including Josh, this is not Sleene's native area. She's from the bayou that, was a day's travel behind us.
Right.
But she's from a different part of it, and it's a fair way to travel. She was captured doing whatever she was doing, and the orcs who were taking her had dragged her for, not dragged her literally, but had taken her for quite a ways. You're not sure exactly what village or town or hamlet or whatever he's talking about, but for various reasons, you are also not going home. Neither is he. Neither is Diamondback, apparently.
Right.
It is uncommon for somebody, especially of your ages, you're relatively young, to have done a whole lot of travel outside of your villages because of the safety issues, especially alone. Diamondback has never been to the hamlet that he is telling you about, and he conveys such that he's heard of it. His town, he believes, has done trade with this. He's found signs of it. He knows which direction it's in. He thinks he's very confident. You also will not have ever been there, but it's a town, so it's up to you. And you have no idea what the disposition of the town is, except that he mentions that his village traded with them sometimes, from what he understands, which means that they're probably not slaving everybody who comes. But it's a risk. But it's also less of a risk maybe than sleeping out in the jungle with some random person for the rest of your life.
All right. Yeah, Celine is definitely all for any kind of civilization, place with roofs and hearths and warm water and baths. So I think she kind of stops for a minute, thinks about it, and says, "Well, if you've got a bead on a good location for us to actually sleep under a roof and actually eat a prepared meal that wasn't cooked on a rock." Not that it wasn't delicious, horse. Thank you. Sounds good to me. Let's make our way. And she shoulders her pack and kind of hefts one of the orc heads and kind of starts swinging it back. And whichever one has a ponytail, she's just kind of swinging it jauntily and says, "You never know. It's always good to have a head to throw."
As we leave, can I ask
for
the
it.
dungeon master one thing, which is, are there any birds, such as crows or whatever, vultures that may have come to to feast on the dead bodies that we left lying around everywhere, which probably stink to high heaven by now?
Yeah. So normally, under a normal circumstance, I would make you spend an hour looking for components or something like that. But in this case, you actually have a surprising amount of flesh strewn about. So I will let you make a roll. Sorry?
Yeah, I just want to take a shot at any birds that might be around
I am
with
game
my
for that.
sling.
What I'd like for you to do is roll, and I'll just give you even odds on a d20.
Okay. That's a 7.
Okay. No birds.
Okay.
You see Celine's eyes narrow, and she kind of gives Diamondback a consternated look and says, "Do you make a habit of molesting innocent woodland creatures? What? You've picked a fight with a horse, and now you're just killing random birds? What are you doing?"
Hey, by the way, quick aside, sorry to interrupt. You can also hunt specifically for, you could look for a monster to fight. You could look, I just want to see if I can find an animal, like a bird or something. Or you could look for a plant to harvest. That is an option. Anyway, Go ahead. What are you doing?
To this query, I say, yes.
Yeah, yes, for fun. Yes, for did a crow, peck out your little brother's eye or something?
They can be valuable sources of spell components.
Ah, okay. And you see kind of suddenly something clicks, and she's like, I get it.
You're one of those.
As one who professionally bothers scaly things, I can't judge you too harshly. All right. And she makes a survival check to try to take point and press farther along, given the parameters that Diamondback has provided.
So the way we're going to do this...
He says, "I saw you with that horse. You're one to talk."
I was just trying to keep that horse from kicking you a second time to death.
You carved that horse up into like 30 different pieces. I saw it.
Well,
Squirreled him away in your vest there.
She points at the jacket and says, "As you can see," and she kind of points to the stitching and everything, "I'm not one to waste." Go ahead.
So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to shift it slightly based on feedback I got last time. That was great, and thank you very much. We're going to do the same thing, or very similar at least, to the way Matt had done it in the other thing we did. So what I'm going to do is we've got 8 hours. We've got 8 hours to go, approximately, to get to the village, you think. And I'm going to let you just do a check of any kind for each of those between you. You can go back and forth. You pick whatever the check, as long as you can tell me why it makes sense. And I'll also tell you that if you're able to find, and I have a roll for it, if you are able to find any kind of path or road or something that's going in the direction you want, your speed will be dramatically increased of travel.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so I would use investigation to try and find such a path early on. That'd be sort of the first thing as we're going.
Okay.
How's that sound, Sir Robert?
Oh, yeah, you decide. You two decide to me. If you
Okay.
want to do that for this turn, and then I'm game for it to happen, yeah.
I think Celine would be using her survival skills to try to maybe use the hatchet that they've got from the orc and the spear to try to kind of navigate that, bushwhack, basically. She's just trying to not necessarily brute force use strength to fight her way through it, but she's trying to kind of pick her way through the terrain, choosing, at this point, we're going to go through these plants because they're going to only slash us and stab us so badly.
I'll take it.
So she's going to try to use her survival skills.
As team captain, Josh, you two talk about what you want to do, and when Josh tells me this hour we're going to do X, that's what we'll do X. Matt, since you're following Celine, she'll be the one.
Okay.
So go for it,
Yeah,
Josh. Tell me what you're doing. He wants to do check for a path, which, by the way, will be easier the closer you get to the town. It'll be harder farther away. And you want to do
survival to try to bushwhack.
Predator chain gun in the forest.
Yeah, I think she's going to start out by doing her survival check to try to bushwhack. That's a whopping 9 plus 4 is 13.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
You make some unimpeded progress.
Okay.
Wait, sorry, I'm going to tell you real quickly. It is okay. I'm keeping track of our time. Go for it.
Okay. And then she sees that Diamondback has been, his head is on a swivel, and she says, "It's a bit early, but I suppose it's worth a try. Do you want to look around for a path and see if there's one that we can pick up in a close radius to this point in camp?" Because I take it part of survival would be finding a decent place to stop and catch our breath for 2 seconds.
So I'm as a wizard, I have +4 in investigation and +4 in history, and I was going to try and use the history check closer to the town.
Okay.
Because that would seem more likely to be useful closer to the town, even than investigation.
Okay. If you
I'm
wanna...
the closest thing to a ranger that you've got, probably, unless you're a ranger.
Because he's heard of the town.
No, she's a druid. She spends a decent amount of time in the wilderness, but in that case, she Diamondback is talking about how he's looking for a path and he has some amount of memory of it, and she says, hold for a moment, and she goes and she climbs some of the trees, and she tries to make an animal handling check to try to basically there are birds in the forest of like Papua New Guinea that will lead people to honey because they know that the people will get the honey and they'll give the larva and everything from the nest to the birds. So she's going to try to make an animal handling check to try to see if there's any species of animal that might have any kind of symbiotic relationship to people, and see if she can.
That's a stretch. It'll be a hard check. If you get it, it'll work. If you don't, you're going to lose an hour.
Okay, that's fair.
Trying. Just going to kind of not do it.
Okay, so 15 plus 4 is 19?
That 19 was the cutoff for it, so yeah, I'll take it.
Okay, all right, nice.
You are able to find some kind of animal that from the top of a tree says, "Go that way,
bird.
go that way."
Well, like she spots a tree with a nest of it up in the trees, and she kind of behaves like a hunter in the woods, and when it takes off, she starts following it.
All right.
So, all right.
You did that for, in your hour, and you made some ground.
Okay. So she says, we've gotten a little bit closer. Do you want to see if you can find that path? And she defers to Diamondback to do his investigation, right?
Sure. Here comes investigation.
Hold on, let me set my DC because you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours away. Sorry, give me one sec. Got it. I'm ready.
4 plus 4 is 8.
You look around and you don't find a path.
Okay.
You keep working in this direction, but you don't happen to find anything that'll meaningfully accelerate your travel.
I'm sorry, I can't seem to find anything.
No. That's quite all right. I think she's trying to use. She asks him to describe the town that they're heading towards, and she tries to use. I'm trying to think if nature or perception is more appropriate for this. She's basically just trying to read the terrain and figure out if the terrain itself has been changing at all over the last, 3-4 hours, and whether there seems to be like a change in topography or water or plant life or anything like that.
You're looking for what check? What kind of check is it?
I think nature. I think she's trying to get a read for whether or not
signs of civilization.
Yeah, perception, whether or not there are any signs of civilization, like looking for things like a notch on a tree.
I'll take that.
Yeah, so just
ready.
perception, raw perception. Yeah. Okay. 13 plus 4, 17.
Yeah, you passed. You are seeing some signs of activity. You can tell that you're within a couple of hours of the town, and actually, you actually make some good progress because of that, and you cover 2 hours worth in your hour.
Okay, so we're on track still. Mm-hmm. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're like halfway there.
You got 3 hours. You're about 3 hours away. I'm just telling you guys. You don't know that, but that's your estimate.
Okay. In that case, I think she's going to make a nature check to try to maybe take a couple of shortcuts through the bush, like be able to know which plants are safe to just kind of press straight through and which of them are, more deadly, so to speak.
Sure, I'll take it.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm on fire. 14 plus 2 is 16.
That does do it. Yep.
Okay.
You make a good run through that, and you don't have any poison ivy.
And she says, "Do you? I don't suppose you recognize any features of the land or large trees that are native and grow near the hut or anything that you might be able to remember your way by?"
This would be a good time for a history check.
Yeah.
I might if I rolled a history check.
Okay.
11 plus 4 is 15.
Because of how close you are, actually, you remember the way that the people in your town had said that they usually approach, and you're actually able to find what looks to be like a not well used, but horse cart path. You see some ruts in the vegetation, some dips, and you're guessing some people cut logs and come this way. So you actually get all the way to your destination on that roll.
Nice.
So what's happened here is you're still in the jungle. Now, I got to remind everybody, the brightest time of day here, it's in the ballpark of about 2 p.m. So you've got some time, 1 p.m., 2 p.m. The brightest part of the day here is, for those of you listening in the lands that we inhabit, is probably the equivalent of the earliest part of dusk in the summer. for us, right? It's kind of brooding lights, even when it's really bright out. So what you see is you come over you crest this little knoll in the jungle, in the forest here. You're pretty far away from the bayou at this point. You're 2 days travel from the bayou where Diamondback has eluded the Iron Bell tribute patrol, and so the ground is firm here. This is not swampland, but it's definitely heavy, thick vegetation, rainforesty kind of cover. What you find as you come over this knoll and around a little bend on this road is that there's a straight shot of about maybe 200 feet, say, where all of the low trees around you have been clear cut. And you see a small little hamlet with a very sturdy looking stockade all the way around it. Well, as far as you can tell, on the side that you can see, it's got pointy tops. It's a very it doesn't look dilapidated. It doesn't look run down in any way. They've been taking care of it. And that makes sense for Diamondback, for what you remember about how the town is talked about. It does a fair bit of trade, and there's a significant interest from other towns of keeping it intact. They actually maintain themselves as their safety through trade and through people coming in and out. They're hospitable, from what you remember, they're hospitable to people coming in. So you can see that there's a place up ahead. Now, what you do see also is that there is a town gate that seems to be made with, in the middle of the stockade, there are taller trees, not in the middle, just in one part of the stockade. And it looks like the posts of this gate, basically, are on each part of it, seem to be about 6 trees lashed together and set deeply into this earth on each side, with it's like really firm on this part, right? And with what appears to be a maybe about 20 foot wide, 15 foot wide stockade gate that could probably swing open in some way. You don't see an obvious way, but clearly there's that. And there's a little house or windowed thing built into one of the pillars. And you from just knowing how things work and how your own towns work, probably there's somebody there who will ask, what's your business and that kind of thing. You don't see signs of any people, but it also does not look abandoned. There just doesn't happen to look like there's anybody out. So what do you want to do?
Sleene stashes the head of that orc because she doesn't know whether that orc was well loved and popular in this town or much hated and feared. And so until she kind of susses that out, she's going to stash it and turn to Diamondback and say, does your name mean anything to these people?
No, but it's possible that my clan name might.
Fair. I'm not the most unpopular person ever. I suppose it's possible that someone passing through one of the bayou towns would have seen my act and made it back here. Let's open with trading on your name. At the very least, they're more likely to love a human than a tiefling.
That's so.
And so she kind of pulls her hood over her horns. Not that it's really easy to hide having livid yellow-green reptilian-colored eyes. As beautiful as they are, they're a unmistakable color, and her skin is a very unnaturally ruddy, kind of swamp tannin, water, rust red. But she at least covers her glossy black horns with her hood and walks kind of at his shoulder, maybe just a step behind.
Okay. You're approaching the place? You're going to approach the window?
So there's like a window in the door?
Mm-hmm. On one side of the pillar, it looks like that pillar has a little carve out, and somebody like a watchman can come through from the other side and open the shutter. There's also you see hanging from high above what looks like a bamboo wind chime with a ringer, and you could dongle it and go tong 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 tong.
Okay, yeah, I get out my ritual dagger and I use that to sort of ding the thing.
To move the little chime. Okay. You hear a little,
Yeah.
you know, audience, please use your inner Foley artist. You hear a little sound here, some wind chimes, or type of sound. And after a few moments...
So real! What? It's like I'm there! Sorry.
After a few moments, you the wood kind of scrapes open, and you hear a voice, but you don't. It's dark behind it. There doesn't seem to be any light in the interior of it. It's not scary, but you just don't see anybody. And you hear a voice say, "Well, howdy do. What you're wanting?"
Greetings. Do you know of the Snake Clan here?
Do I know snakes? I ate snake this morning.
The Snake Clan, the clan of warrior wizards up the river.
Oh. No, I don't know. What you want?
I'm sorry then. I seek shelter. The Iron Bell has destroyed my town.
You bringing trouble?
No.
Trouble is far behind us, friend. And she kind of like...
Can I see this? Can I see this person?
Yeah, if you want to take a step forward, you can peek in.
I step forward and sort of look and try to see who it is.
Yeah, it's this short guy. He's pretty old. Not like super, super old, but, he's been around. And you get the impression he's been doing this job for a really long time and maybe doesn't live in this little tiny, tiny place, but he spends a lot of time there.
Sir, I say, we're...
Trading. Trading.
We have many valuable goods to trade.
And you see him creep forward and poke his eyes up really high, and it looks, you can't tell for sure, but it looks like he might be a halfling standing on a stool. But he looks over and he says, "Many goods? I ain't seen nothing."
Well, sir.
Go ahead.
And he, this is something that is sort of a specialty for Diamondback, is the like storage and display and like caretaking of magical items. So he can take out his sort of pack, his component pouch, and sort of show this guy, I don't know, maybe one of the best organized, cleanest, most conveniently constructed component pouches that maybe he's ever seen.
And this time he leans forward, and now his face comes out of the shadow, and you can see he's got a scraggly beard and seems to be a just normal salt of the earth kind of guy. And he's got both arms hanging out the window now, kind of just hanging there, like at his sort of downward angle, palms up, and his head's leaning out. And both of you roll an insight check. It says, "Valuable goods? Well, it's my job to decide about what's valuable and what isn't."
19 plus 4 is going to be 23.
I'm going to start rolling bad soon, and it's going to be real bad when that happens. But for now, that's a 17.
Both of you have the sneaking suspicion that his palms aren't out there on accident.
I think Sleen...
he's looking for something.
Sleen puts a copper in her hand, and
Whoa. Oh, okay.
And reaches out to shake the guy's hand and says, "Friend, I'm Sleen, a performer of some renown where I come from, and it's always good to make a new friend when you come to a new village. Tell me, what's the best street here if I was going to draw a crowd to myself and put on a show. So she shakes his hand with a copper in it.
He takes the copper, pulls one hand in, and it does not come back out. And he says, "Woo! My copper pouch sure's heavy. And I tell you, now it's all out of balance. What with my magic pouch? Well, the other hand still remains out the window."
So Diamondback will take out a fang of a white-scaled adder, and he'll and you'll see that it's bound very nicely in like rice paper, and in like sort of origami style with a little picture of a fang and little magic-looking symbols on it, which are clearly illegal. So this is also sort of a test. And he says, "I found this in a mysterious encampment of destroyed illegal wizards."
Very nice. Giving the guy contraband so that he can't rat us, because if he rats us, he'll be in trouble too.
Diamondback is not
Beautiful.
thinking that far ahead, but he says, "It's I happen to know that it's good to cast Chill Touch with."
And you put it in his palm, in his open hand.
I put it in his palm.
And he slides his hand up, and surprisingly adeptly, adroitly, he is able to extract it from its wrapping, which he pulls the fang. He pulls it inside, drops it into his pouch, and he says, "Well, now, I gotta tell you, that was right kind of you to help a poor old halfling out who's having trouble walking. I get my balance back. I do appreciate it. I guess you folks better come on in. Now, this lady here with the funny-looking eyes," and he kind of looks at you a little long-wise, but he knows what you are and everything. He's been around. And he says, "This lady here is asking me where she could do some kind of performance. Well, I'll tell you, we ain't got fancy roads and stuff. We just got a few good old down-to-earth families. But there's a man here. There's a man here's been coming and doing performance already. You could perform with him, I betcha. What you need to do is you need to go and you need to go down to Barbarell's house, where she has some tea and some drinking down in the bottom of her house, and you go ask for Yoshka. He does performance. I don't know what kind of strange-eyed performance you do, lady, but Yoshka, he does some stuff. So you go find him and you ask him about performing, and come on." And then you hear the door, some kind of grinding, wooden mechanical gears, and the door starts to slowly swing open a little bit. And it opens wide enough for you two to get through, but it's not like he didn't open it a lot. And he scurries around, comes, and Matt shakes your hand and says, come on in, young man, come on in." He's reaching up because he's a halfling, right? But he shakes your hand and pats you on the back, and you get in, and he points you in the direction. She says, "She's down that way." And she's down that way. Go look. There's 6 house down. You'll find her. And you find that as you've gone a few steps, you've got
And before we leave her, I think she leans over to him and says, have you all been having any trouble with some unruly orcs in the area? I know that they're not all on the same side, but have there been any particularly bad harassments at their hands, or do the orcs trade with you folks?"
"Well, I'm afraid you might be asking the wrong person. You could come back later, see if I got any memories back, but
She smiles, claps him on the back, and says, "This won't be the last we see of each other, friend," and gives him kind of a flirty little pinch on the cheek.
So y'all walk. Sorry, go ahead.
When she mentions, this is just a little color. When she mentions the orcs, the camera can see Diamondback's hand creep up and touch the place on his sort of chest near his shoulder where there's a scar from a javelin.
Good.
There's probably still stitches that Celine put into him because she had to close bandaged. The artery. Yeah, it's cauterized, stitched, and bandaged from her keeping you from bleeding to death.
And it's very visible because he wears no shirt.
That's right.
Very true.
So he shuffles away in a way that seems to be maybe not quite appropriate for his age. He's shuffling a little harder of a shuffle than he probably might need to, maybe. But he shuffles back to his little weird hutch thing in the side of the wall. And you two walk a few steps. Diamondback, you notice that as he shook your hand, you've got the fang wrapper still back in your hand. He palmed it to you. And he has closed and locked the door behind him, and you hear the whirring of the gears. Presumably he has some mechanism inside there, and the gate pulls shut, and a couple of automatic things, a log falls down and locks, and normal stuff that you're not freaked out by. You find yourself in a tiny little hamlet. You would guess by the looks of it that there are, not tiny, a small town, small village. You would guess by the looks of it that they've got a handful of families. It could be maybe 10-ish families, somewhere around there. You might guess that there's 80 people in this. It's not the smallest town by far. It's definitely a respectable town, but it's not a huge place. You can see the place where there's some people milling about that you think might be, I believe her name was Babarel. Her little, what you're hoping is an inn, but is at least a kind of a pub or something.
Babarel's grog house and tea room.
That's right.
Before we get there, I convey to Celine, I say, this place, I show her the wrapping with the letters on it. I say, this place may not be okay with forbidden lore.
Oh, believe me, I have no intention of revealing that much of my hand. We've spoken freely because we owe life debts to one another. But I'm not in the habit of getting my neck out on the line.
I want to know.
Thank you. She strides forward to what would appear to be Babarel's grog house and tea room and enters the place ostentatiously. She pops up the collar on her jacket, peels back the hood of her cloak, shakes her raven shiny black hair loose and free, and kind of holds her hands out in a large gesture of announcing her own arrival with some amount of physicality, and says, now, which one of you is my new friend Yoshka, and how can I buy you a drink?
Now, as you enter, you find all eyes in the place, and there are about a dozen people sitting at little rough-hewn tables and such. Yes, Matt?
I would like to make a stealth check to enter without being noticed quite as much. Not actually trying to hide, but just trying to sort of sneak in while she distracts everybody and just be discreet and sort of get into a shadow near the door.
Do it.
And can I make an actual performance check to try to enter the room with enough panache and whatnot to make an impression on the room?
I will let you make that, but you have to do it in a minute. I'll tell you when.
Yeah, after him, yeah.
13.
Okay. I have recorded it. You feel whatever you feel about how much you how sneakily you snuck in. I've recorded that, and if we need it, I will check against it.
My back is against the wall by the door in what I think is a shadowy spot.
Sounds good. Yoshka, as they enter the room, All eyes are on you in the room. There's about a dozen people, 13 if you count the sweaty, shirtless magician in the back in the shadows. But you may not count him, depending on how perceptive you are. All eyes are on Yoshka, and all ears are on Yoshka too, because what is happening?
You see
Wait,
this.
this is Jared's to narrate.
I thought you were asking me what my performance that I was making before
No,
was. Gotcha. No.
Yeah, here's what you see when you come in. Yoshka is performing.
Well, I guess I need to talk out some stuff with you that would already be sorted out.
Okay, we can do that.
Um,
Or actually, do you want to be performing?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great.
I don't have a good sense of this world, like how music fits in. Do people dance?
Sure, people dance.
Like, in general, how downtrodden is everybody?
That's a great question. This town is fairly stable, as you heard narrated before. They don't have a lot of war here because they do the trade, and they trade. They'll trade pretty well with anybody, slaves or anything. So the people here are not known for being pillars of morality. They're not. Let's put it this way: they are on the maybe something like, let's call it lawful neutral. Alignment wise, they follow their ethics. They do the rules where they need to survive, and they are looking out for their own interests. That said, they've managed to build a pretty decent stability. They're not a huge town. They're not flourishing wildly, but they don't seem to want to. Everybody's in a decent mood. There is not much slaving that happens. They can usually it's obvious from what's going around that these people are not heavily downtrodden, though many people in the world are. This town is more like feeling stable, life is fine, and they don't think too much even about the Iron Bell, though they don't go outside to die.
Okay.
Inside the walls, it's a pretty safe place, and they like it here.
And have I picked up a musical instrument?
You tell me.
I mean, okay. Well,
You could probably have a lute or something like that. You can't have a piano.
yeah. I prefer the violin,
Sure, you can have a fiddle.
but I know, the way I got here was by accident and not on purpose. So I think I probably lost my preferred. I don't have a violin,
Okay.
but maybe I picked up I probably traded for something.
A mandolin or something.
Yeah. And
Balalaika.
so since my guy would have a sense, having traveled at least in his region, of and if there's trading of songs between villages. And so maybe there was in my region. This is like a trading post, so I imagine, since my guy's been here, has he met any other performers come through? He generally is on the lookout to swap stories and songs and news and stuff.
You've been here for 10 days. I just rolled for it. You've been here for 10 days, and during that 10 days, you've met one other wayfaring bard, basically, with a group, a small group, close, insular. They were friendly towards you in a professional way. They did not invite you to come with them, which it would have been really uncommon for them to invite you to come with them. They trust each other, their family. But yeah, you had a little exchange with them. Most people in general don't really care about trading songs. They want to hear good stuff, and that's it. They want to be entertained. But among the bards, there's certainly a professional relationship that can be had where, hey, I've got a song. Would you like to learn how to play it? And blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Well, in general, let's do this then. Let me roll a, I don't know, perception check or something.
For what?
My general way with my audience is I start off with like popular favorites,
Mm-hmm.
and then I have my own specialty ones, and I kind of I try out one. I like inch further and further from just the mainstay of what everybody likes.
Okay.
And
How
try to
long have
get
you been performing today? When they walk in, you've been performing for X number of minutes or hours. You tell me. Or I can pick for you.
So I'm trying to get some means to be able to travel. I guess I'd really like to, if I've seen a horse come through, I've noted its price.
Mm-hmm.
I've been asking around for like just feeling out if people are open to giving rides, any wagon trains, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll tell
let's see.
you. Let me help out. I'll help you out with this part. You've been here for 10 days, and you're kind of itching to leave, but you're not quite where you need to be as far as as far as having found a good, safe means of travel, something you feel comfortable with. Nobody's invited you to come. You've approached a few people, but haven't had anybody, saying, what I really need out there is a bard right now. You were hoping that the Wayfarer troupe that you met would invite you along, but it just didn't work out right. It wasn't anything personal or bad. It wasn't a bad experience. So you're looking for a little bit more cash and components, because that's always a thing for everybody. However, what you're really looking for is to find a couple of people who are going somewhere and somewhere that you're interested in going, and will let you come with them. And you just haven't found it yet. So today you've been out here, you've been performing for about an hour, not like straight, but people are buying drinks, they're buying you a drink. It's kind of a Billy Joel Piano Man type of deal. Man, what are you doing here? You're so good. Yeah. And suddenly, as you're in the middle of performing and everybody's having a great time, it's, what are we looking at here? It's in the neighborhood of 2 p.m. and you see a raven-haired, red, shimmery skinned, I guess. I'm making that up, Josh. Tiefling.
Oh no, she does. Her parts of her skin literally scintillate almost ruby, kind of.
Okay.
Gem-like. Not all of her skin, but parts where the scales are thicker.
So all eyes are on you, Yoshka, away from the door, because you're singing a song and you've done some favorites. People have had quite a bit to drink, and now you're getting a little experimental on them, but they've had enough to drink that you think you're getting an honest reaction to their to your experiments. And you're not getting atonal yet, but you are, going a little jazz. So you see this raven-haired tiefling come in, and out of the corner of your eye, maybe a glimmer of a motion in the shadows that doesn't really mean anything to you. What's your reaction to seeing this tiefling who suddenly bursts in and with a friendly and charismatic demeanor says your name? Yoshka! Where's my Yoshka, my new friend?
Well, right in the middle of my song.
Yeah. I
think she would be respectful. If Yoshka is in the middle of a lyrical song where Yoshka is singing lyrics and everything, I don't think that Celine would try to talk over her and take attention away rudely. I was assuming that, if she hears the music, if Yoshka is just playing instrumentally, she would probably say this. So you tell me. I don't know if you're singing lyrics or not.
Based on the mood of the bar, it sounds like Yoshka has been leading them in a set of rounds that's audience participation, where he's helping them to feel creative. That's part of the experiment, if I may. But I've got a desire to go to the land of ire and dance among the people who are we, or whatever. And then one of them jumps in and shouts, and they do their thing. And they don't quite make it rhyme, but Yoshka jumps in and saves the rhyme, puts his arm around them. And they are having a great time and throwing an occasional, bit of componentry, very light componentry, or maybe even a copper into the hat or mandolin case or whatever he has. And so, you're not interrupting. You're
okay. In that case,
joining the festivities.
Let me ever so slightly retcon and say that the thing that I do when I walk in and hold out my hands is I immediately try to jump in and try to get a. I've heard them singing as I'm walking in the door, so I'm not coming in completely cold. But she's going to try to right away jump in and participate. Great. And there it is. There's the low roll. My performance is a 6.
So
crud buckets.
Yoshka hears it. You totally flubbed the line because you weren't really paying attention to the prior part because you just walked in. However, Yoshka being, I'm going to speak for you, you can correct this, Yoshka being of the nature that he is, he sees an audience member come in who's looking for something. He walks over and gets close to this beautiful young lady who has just flubbed her line. And Yoshka... slaps her, helps her out.
He helps her out, yeah.
Summarily shames and runs her off.
Yeah, I'm gonna make up, depending on where the verse was, make an even worse rhyme, let's say.
Okay,
nice.
Great. So the line before was about dancing through the jungle, and she had tried to say something clever about how there was lots of danger fungal, and it just didn't go over super well. And Yoshka jumps in and says something witty, but a clearly terrible. But
I sure hope I don't bumble.
That's right. He gets a near rhyme, and everybody recognizes that Yoshka rescued the meter with the meter, and they have good nature towards Celine. She's bought some goodwill with her, attractive young lady who accidentally bumbles but isn't shamed, has a good attitude. So everybody brings their wooden mugs up high, sloshes them together, and drinks another swig. And we're going to pick up here next time. It's 10:15 right now with the interaction between Yoshka and Celine, and Diamondback being nowhere to be seen unless someone has keen eyes. Diamondback
or open eyes
or something. And it'll be 2 p.m. We're going to figure out what y'all want to do as far as where you're going to stay for the night, what's happening with this Yoshka figure that seems to be beloved, and he is, here for some reason and seems amiable. So we'll figure that out next time. And for our listening audience at home or wherever you are, thank you so much for being here. In a moment, I'm gonna do a little bit of XP wrap up with the horse, but basically, these two travelers have now met another critical personality in this world, and hopefully there is something they can do to work together, or at least to meet each other in untimely demise. Okay, I'm just kidding. Matt and Yoshka, not Yoshka. Celine and
Diamondback and Celine.
Diamondback and Celine. You both. Sorry, I just have to pull the page up for it. Here we go. Easy as pork. There we go. You both got on a draft horse that you killed. You slaughtered mercilessly. And really, strictly speaking, it was a draft horse being used as a war horse. You each got 25 experience for that, so you can add 25 experience. Plus, you got into the town, which was not guaranteed, by the way. And I'll give you each 15 experience for that, for getting into the town.
Okay.
And was there another thing that you did?
I would say, go ahead.
I mean, we traveled some, but...
You did travel. More importantly, the successes you had there, you cut 2 hours off of your travel, which I'll give you 20 points each for, 10 points per hour that you were efficiently traveling. So there you go.
Okay.
That's tonight.
And then I don't know if the social interaction of successfully ingratiating ourselves with these folks counts for anything.
It might next time, but you're in the middle of it, the beginning of it.
Okay.
So.
Oh, so close to leveling.
Okay. Well, I'm okay with you leveling mid-session. You'll do it during a long rest because I am from AD&D.
Sounds good.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a terrific evening, even if you don't want to. So we'll see you next week. We're going to interact with Yoshka and probably meet another character. We were trying to meet, as I said, he who shall not be named outside of after post. And have a great night. I heard another iteration of the dirty rumor about failure being somewhat attractive. So there you go.
Go your own way, stones and shadows by, willows whisper of darkness deep and wide. In the forest there is no place to hide. Strange bells, tonight I fear that I